Alright, I suck at this video thing. And then we have to put the... So we got the supercharger installed.
This is Jason's first start.
What's up there, people? Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming back. You just heard the startup of a 2018 gas V6 zr2 with the Lingenfelter Supercharger. I'm just gonna say fast, I'm gonna mess that up a lot. A Lingenfelter Supercharger DIY install courtesy of Master Tire Rack builder Jason. The supercharger adds almost 50% more horsepower, bringing the V6 up to 450. That's a gain of 142 and a lot for a mid-sized. Jason's a good example of a zr2 owner, probably too good. He's got a garage full of legit mechanic tools with proper education and tons of previous employment, all making him well qualified to do this install. I mailed him some cameras so he could share it with you guys, and he did a good job, but it's very involved, and honestly, if you need a step-by-step DIY install guide for this, then you're probably in over your head. No shame, by the way, this isn't something I would feel comfortable doing myself. But we can be helpful to others who are just curious about how involved it is, and also what's damage prone, what areas to inspect if you pay somebody to do it for you. And he was also kind enough to share some before and after 0 to 60 pull-offs for us, while also wrapping it up with a traditional off-road trip. He also had a helper, his buddy Steve. They build their bikes together in this garage, and compared to the bikes I build, you can see why I say this install isn't for me. Only experienced wrenchers. So because of that, we're gonna blow through some stuff before this turns into a 3-hour tutorial that I'm honestly not qualified to make. So let's get on with it. zr2 Lingenfelter DIY install cliff notes, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Also, check out his RK Ram airhood. In the original install, he didn't have it yet. And like I said, he's got all the proper tools, and you could tell just by how he lays stuff out, even the camera stuff. He knows what he's doing. He's not even nervous about installing. Like, he has a proper layout and everything. He's just experienced. And this isn't his current job anymore, but before he used to be well employed as a mechanic.
Take off the bumper first. There's 4 underneath here.
And this part was a bit of a headache for him, required some trimming and constant whatever matching up.
And you can trim it outside.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
And even though we're cutting it up and fast forwarding through them putting on brackets and installing little things, you'll see why pretty quickly. We will slow down and show you the mistakes or cautions.
Add these wherever we have to add them right afterwards.
Okay.
Never seen WD-40 used that way. I use it for everything, kind of an inside joke, but I cut it out just for brevity on future clips. But yeah, he did that to every hose, and it worked well for him, it seemed. Clamps, not so much. They put up a good fight. And speaking of good fights,
All about you, huh? Thanks for saying that on camera. No, but we need to take it back out. The bottom hose area is not where it needs to be. Do we need to take the air box out and everything?
Well, it says just all you have to do is lift up one edge of it, so...
It's not the stock air box.
Yeah.
So now it's time for the best part of the video, inviting you guys to Telegram in case you haven't heard about it. And FYI, in future videos, the puppies are going to be in the intro front and center. Speaking of puppies, check the link in the description for a news story from Jason, who you just saw in this video. He saved a man and his dog from a burning vehicle, and proud to say he's also part of the Telegram family. You guys can all go on there and join. You You can post your mods, files, whatever you want. It's a community. It's a 420 Motors channel to be precise, and you get all the benefits of social media minus the self-promotion aspect that makes you hate yourself and your life or envy your neighbor. Just like-minded, helpful people only. I actually learned a lot through there, and it offers up to 50 admins that we like to rotate so everyone and anyone can post. And as far as posts goes, you can do upgrades, mods, part failures, consumer complaints, questions, consumer shout outs for good businesses, all that stuff. People post their trail damage or just damage from letting their wife drive. Gear setups too, as far as tools and equipment, tires, wheels, what works, what doesn't work, and it's all in entertainment form. And more Telegram commercial later. For now, back to the install. By default, I'm overprotective of anyone lending their truck or personality to help others on this channel, and Jason's doing both in this case. So he's taking the time to show you guys his problems, and most people wouldn't have the guts to show their face on installs like this.
All right, I suck at this video thing. So the first thing I did was take the bumper off, and what we're installing is a cooler. Couple little tricks. You take out the two top 10mm for the radiator and kind of lift up on it and push it back. You have enough room to sneak this in and out. The two clips in the back are kind of a pain to get in and out, so you just got to kind of use your little tricks and stuff. So we're gonna put the radiator back in, or the water cooler for the Supercharger, and we're gonna line up all the hoses. Also installed the water pump for the cooler, so we'll see if everything lines up and see how that comes out. So we got the radiator on for the Supercharger, and we got the water pump on. When installing, just make sure you watch this coolant hose, make sure it doesn't rub on anything, it's going to cut anything. This one's going to go to the tank that's going to be installed at a later date. Air box is out and stuff like that right now. So we're just going to move on, keep on going. Tape up the ports, but leave the screw holes open because they've got a lot of dust on them. Okay. I'm just going to blow them out real quick. So we got the intake off, and now we're covering up the ports because we got to take a couple brackets off and stuff like that. Just kind of keep stuff out of the engine. Once we're ready to put it back on, we'll take it off. But pulling the intake is pretty easy. Normal household tools that you can have at home. Take out that bracket. So we removed these two bolts. It said put the passenger side back one in, and then we're moving these two 10mm bolts right here, and then we're going to be putting a bracket in to hold this wiring harness up. So when you take this off, there's the wiring harness brackets is just hanging there. So the snout for the Supercharger is going to be probably right around here, so that's where you're going to have to hold it down.
So a lot of this is just Jason being really particular about the harnesses and the wires and rubbing and all that stuff. But like I said, he's used to be a proper mechanic, doesn't have that job anymore. He's got a more prestigious job now, but he knows what he's doing.
And that's the little things that you don't get from somebody else installing it. Yep. So there's a knock sensor wire right here that came between here and the bracket, and I moved it, I disconnected it from here, moved it down and underneath the bracket and then over that way so it's not rubbing on anything. And then on this bracket, the wiring harness was going to hit it, and it still is, but I put some edge stripping right here to keep the wires from being chafed and cut on the edge of this bracket.
Turn the tensioner counterclockwise and remove the belt from the FEAD. Not moving?
It is, it's just
Alright, so we've done that part. So the hose is disconnected, right?
yeah.
So we got that 18 and that 13. And we're getting closer to putting that manifold on. And bracket from the front of the block.
Does it say which bracket to put it back on?
It's just not, it's not saying which one, but just I'd assume 1, 2, 3, 4.
So, I don't know if you can see, but we removed this bolt and this bolt. And then we're going to install the tensioner bracket on that. And you put blue Loctite on this one and all 3 bolts.
Attach the new vacuum pump bracket to the timing cover using the original bolt on the left side and original hardware on the right side.
Okay. And then we have to put the...
Oof. Good thing you put the tape there.
Yeah.
If you look ahead, it says it wants, before attaching the T-map extension, feed the cable up underneath the factory lines.
Okay, sorry.
You must connect the T-map extension before setting the intake down, but you want to bring it up through. So, just before we lock it down, so we'll be smarter. I know you really, after you get this on, you really want to try and do the jumping that the guy did with the TRX.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so this is the air pump connector that is connected to the stock bracket. So the new bracket doesn't have any places for you to mount it. So all I did was I just zip tied it to the hard line that goes to the vacuum pump, and just kind of zip tied it there, so it's not flopping too much around or anything like that. So
You feed that thing.
it's small enough.
I know it's heavy. Okay, it's hitting the back right there. Oh, we gotta put blue Loctite on them too. Yeah. Next is our torquing. That's gonna be
5, 6,
3.
2, 4,
8 is one that gets a different setting too.
8. Okay.
That's 7. 1, 3.
Okay.
So all of those are going to be to 18 foot-pounds, and then that other one's going to be 8 foot-pounds.
And this torque sequence is going to be in the instructions, obviously. You go jumping back and forth to make sure it gets bolted down evenly.
Okay, last one is 8 foot. Put that gasket on there with the copper seal so it sits on it.
All right, so we got the lower intake part back in. We're gonna put the coolant hoses on there before we put the main supercharger on there, so it's a lot easier to put on. So we're gonna test fit those before we put anything on and put the clamps on for them.
Carefully place this. Well, we're almost ready to place the supercharger on there.
Yeah.
Make sure the hose clamps are pointed to the side to help clear the supercharger. So you don't want to put them towards the supercharger.
So grab the front of it.
Okay, we're well back. Those hoses are hitting.
Yeah, was snagging on a lot of stuff and wasn't sitting right, so I'll spare you guys. It took them a while in and out multiple times and just getting creative.
But it wasn't all the way back either, right? And it would be totally out of the way, and this would be able to sit right in the front like that. All we have to do is snake it through there, and it would still sit on top of that channel. What happened?
The gasket's off just a little more, I can't set the parts.
Son of a bitch. Oh, that gasket's moving.
Okay. Well, it's biting, it's just gonna cross thread.
Oh no, we don't want that. Cross thread is better than a lock washer, but... Now we went from cold to hot to now it's getting cool again. That one's getting in trouble.
So cramp working condition, low light, threads aren't grabbing. You guys all know this, recipe for disaster. Take your time, do it right.
No?
Just dropped it.
Okay. Well, we got a...
And this part was painful to edit, but Jason took it like a
I
champ.
can take it back off, are you?
Yeah.
You can't fit it back there to find it? The magnet?
I can't see anything back there.
So we've all been there before. Pretty much done with the hard stuff. He can't find a bolt that he dropped, so he's got to uninstall everything.
You want to try and get the back one in? That little one in the corner. Or we get too many of these in. What happened?
I just don't like that clamp pushing against the back of the supercharger.
So coming up right here, you're going to see why I decided not to make this a step-by-step tutorial and more just to fill you in on what to expect, because it's nasty.
That's all this last time for putting it on and off.
Jason powered through for us. Thanks a lot, man.
Seems to be going in better. It's getting easier. 1 through 10 is 9 pounds. 9 foot-pounds or 12 Newton meters.
5, 1, 3,
7.
7.
And then 6, 2, 4, 8. And then that 10 is over the far corner. So,
9.
yeah. Yep.
9 foot-pounds on all of them?
Yep. 1 through 10.
And now it's time for the fan belt, which can be a nightmare sometimes, but FYI, if you're running a supercharger in the desert, make sure you have good pulleys on that tensioner because fan belts fall off.
So supercharger, AC, crank, around the tensioner, over the idler, on the alternator, over the pump, around the idler, back to the supercharger. That looks so small.
It is. I'm trying to get around the crank first. This belt's just been wrapped up too long.
Bad belt. Plug in the map sensor underneath the nose.
Alright, saw that we've got the supercharger on. We just had a little bit of trouble with this power cord and getting underneath here with this PVC hose. So we kind of rerouted the power cable underneath and up and over, and then we'll put it back on here. And then we had to cut one of the clamps back there for one of the hoses so the supercharger would sit flat and back like it needs to be. So we'll see how this all works out.
Because we're going to measure over 1 1/8 that way, and then 2 1/2 from the factory airbox rubber grommet.
Okay.
Alright, we got to take the supercharger off.
And time for more Telegram benefits. People also post open runs on there. 2 runs are being organized right now through there. One in Mammoth that we're not going to be able to make it, and one in Pismo the weekend after the 4th of July. You can also organize private runs, and whether we go or not, I'll help with maps if I can. Besides that, lots of fun stuff gets posted on there. Puppy, secondary vehicle, patriotic causes, flags, bullets, gunsmithing stuff that would get us deplatformed here. More importantly, I make a lot of mistakes, and you guys can go on there and help me learn by proving me wrong.
That thing was interesting the way it went. I guess it has to... I was wondering how it's going to go that way and initially go straight down. I guess turn it.
Is there a couple more hose clamps over there?
Yeah, they're in my hand.
Oh.
But once we get everything plugged in, we have to delete it.
Okay.
Because you got to turn the car on, and you might have to leave it on for like 20 minutes. Not running, but just on to let it bleed. Oh, we haven't hooked up the throttle stuff yet, huh? In a 10mm second, install the evap solenoid using the original bolt. Okay. Plug the supplied water pump harness into the evap. Plug the other end into the original evap plug. Using hose number 6 and hose number 7, connect the brake booster extension blue and evap hose extension red. Connect map extension harness to the map sensor located on the supercharger nose. Once finished, tuck wires opposite of the supercharger pulley into the wire harness. Bracket and zip tie. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the math. That's the water pump harness. I know what got in the way.
All right, so we got the supercharger installed. I have a 1 inch and a half body lift on it, so my hoses aren't hooking up right, so I need to get some different bellows or something. But we're running all the wires to the TPMS, or not to the MAF over here, underneath here, kind of get them out of the way, and then I'll be running the water pump stuff over to the other side and get it over there, and then we'll fill the coolant system up, and then we'll go from there. And this way we can check and see if it has any leaks.
You mean we did something right?
Huh?
They're gonna suck it out now too.
It takes almost 2 gallons.
A little thirsty.
So the guys are done, and you heard them turn it over in the beginning of the video. Jason squared it away more now, and he took some more recording of it idling. He also does his own electronics, and he does a good job. Check out how he connected that switch pro. He did the same for our truck. I'll let you get a better look, walk around and inside. He did all the work. This is his bumper too, by the way. And at some point, he installed the hood. I didn't know, but you'll check it out right now. Yeah, he needs to bash that a little bit more. And like I said, he was nice enough to put in the time to do some 0 to 60 runs before and after the install. So he's got it programmed. Check on the bottom once the numbers start moving. The bottom left, it'll tell you the 0 to 60 speed. Stock, and then with the supercharger. So 0 to 60 in 7.4, but again, I showed you the walk around for a reason. I don't know what tires he had on. I think they're 33s. I don't know the inclination, elevation, the differences. So your results will vary. This is just more or less. So we pulled a 646. But again, I don't know what tunes he had stock, so I'm gonna get on mine and see what numbers mine gives me. For now, check out his in-cab setup, and I do it because he is so particular, so some of you guys might want a clean setup, get some ideas. And time for some dirt. We don't live close enough together, so we didn't get to go with him, but he has some buddies. It's a yearly trip, I think. And yeah, they just went out and tested his supercharger. Awesome. It's just trail footage, mounted dash cam stuff, but you could hear from the inside the cab how it sounds, the revs, just like that. I'll keep it brief, but I'll let you guys check out their trip too. It looked like a fun trail.
Pull line, then turn left. Gotta watch out for cops. They always want to ruin your fun.
hour. 70 miles an hour. 67, sorry.
Go, Cosmo! Things handling good, dude!
What'd you break?
And before we wrap it up, do any of you guys recognize this Raptor? Remember it? It's ours. We put updates on Telegram as far as all this other stuff. And FYI, all videos will come out 2 days early on Telegram before YouTube. And before closing out, got to give a huge shout out to Jason and Steve. Huge thanks for putting yourselves out there, for doing expensive mods, taking us with you, all that stuff. So like always, keep building that truck, keep finding new trails, keep finding good people, and of course, keep it dirty.